the Universal Music Group fires, huge fire that happened 11 years ago. And we're just kind of learning about it now because they tried to cover it up, which is so bizarre. I mean, it's like when I got a 3-year-old at home. When you catch him doing something he's not supposed to, yell at him, and he, tries to cover it up. They tried to just cover it up. But all these master tapes, all this stuff was all gone. And we talked about this briefly yesterday on the show. And people were still kind of asking, like, master tapes are important because they're all like the individual tracks. Like the drums will be on one, the guitar will be on one, all that kind of stuff. So whenever you get these remastered releases, they take all those individual elements, they clean them up, they put them through today's technology as far as, boards go and, Pro Tool, all that kind of stuff. However they're doing it these days. And they're able to give you better mixes. They're able to get the absolute best out of those recordings. And so if those are gone, then you can't reissue anything. You can't, you kind of lose that material. And not only those things are lost, but also some outtakes and extra stuff. And if we've learned anything from Jimi Hendrix and Prince and, Dave Matthews Band with Leroy Moore, all that kind of stuff is like you rely on some of those, the Beatles, all you rely on some of those extra pieces and things to make up new songs or, give you new, the Amy Winehouse, demos and all that kind of stuff. You don't get to put that kind of stuff out. You don't get to get access to that stuff if you lose it in a fire. So it's pretty devastating. The reason why we're bringing it up today is because everybody is reacting to it now. Everyone from Chris Novoselic to The Roots, a little bit of r.e.m. here. Let's go through it. They estimate 500,000 of these master recordings were destroyed in this blaze. 500,000. Several current or former Universal artists have since reacted to the story. Nirvana bassist Chris Novoselic revealed that the original masters to Nevermind are believed to be gone forever. So Chris Novoselic confirming that. Questlove from The Roots said their second and third studio albums, Do You Want More and Adelph Half-Life, were lost. He says, quote, for everyone asking, those records won't get reissued treatment. I've been dying to find all the old reels and mix the 8 or 9 songs that never made it onto the albums. My plan for both was to release all the songs and instrumental a cappella mixes on 45. They sent someone to check out the vault log, and then it hit them. r.e.m. is still trying to determine the fate of their masters. r.e.m. HQ is receiving inquiries from many people concerning the New York Times article on the Universal Music Fire 11 years ago. They said in a statement, we are trying to get good information to find out what happened and the effect on the band's music, if any. We will detail further as and when we get the information. Steely Dan is also unsure of the whereabouts of their original tapes, saying, quote, we have been aware of missing original Steely Dan tapes for a long time now, says Irving Azoff, the band's manager, to Variety, saying, quote, we've never been given a plausible explanation. Maybe they burned up in the big fire. In any case, it's certainly a lost treasure. Buddy Holly's masters, all of them gone. John Coltrane's Impulse Records releases gone. The original master tapes behind Etta James's At Last, maybe one of the most iconic songs ever, gone. Universal says the damage outlined by the Times contains numerous inaccuracies, misleading statements, contradictions, and fundamental misunderstandings of the scope of the incident and the affected assets. The record label said in a statement, by the way, the New York Times article, we'll put links for you guys to read it. It is super huge. This whole thing stinks of inaccuracies. But this is what Universal Music is saying about the whole thing in a statement. Quote, music preservation is of the highest priority for us, and we are proud of our track record. While there are constraints preventing us from publicly addressing some of the details of the fire that occurred at NBC Universal Studios facility more than a decade ago, the incident, while deeply unfortunate, never affected the availability of the commercially released music, nor impacted artists' compensation. That is blatantly false. Blatantly false. It's just false. Because even if you take what Questlove said, that he was going to take some of that material and reissue it, you're affecting artist compensation right there. You're affecting future earnings. You know, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. This is, by the way, when they say owning the masters, this is what it all comes down to. If you watch the movie Ray, when he asked for that landmark record deal with ABC Records, he wanted to own his own masters. This is what it all means. The actual physical ownership of these tapes. And a lot of these artists don't own those masters. It's their material, but they don't own the masters. And so it's in the hands of the record labels. Now, I don't know. I guess it depends on some of the deals. Maybe if they do put out a remaster, they don't have to pay the artist. But I don't find that to be true because they were still the songwriters. So even if you're putting out, so to say it doesn't impact compensation is a complete falsehood. I feel like that's a blatantly obvious one here, and that I must be missing something that they would actually put that into a statement. I also like this, how after losing 500,000 master tapes in a fire, they go, we're pretty proud of our track record. What? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Look, I know we just lost these treasures, about $500,000's worth, but look at our track record, though. Not the right time to make that statement. Again, this is the reason why we have publicists, because they know, don't say that, it's really dumb, right? Going back to our Moby thing and this is why you have marketing and public relation publicists and everything else. It's important. It's super, super important. I also am curious about the constraints preventing them from publicly addressing some of the details. Is that why they haven't said anything for 11 years? Because there's constraints? Air quotes. I don't want to overblow this out of proportion. Some of what they're saying is true, where we do still have some of this music. Yes, it's lost treasure. Yes, there's material on there that could have been reused and remade into something else. Yes, it would have been great to have some of these things put out in releases and remasters. But we still do have this music. It's not like we can't listen to Etta James's At Last. It's just that those originals are gone forever. And we all know when you start to pull things and originals, and we can get really technical, and people is saying the streaming services use bad copies of MP3s to begin with and all that kind of jazz, and it's all very true. You know, I'm an audiophile. I'm not disagreeing. But at the end of the day, it's not like the music is gone forever. But we did really lose something super important. Not just for us right now, but like generations in advance. When the zombie apocalypse comes and all the zombies eat all our brains and the Spotify hard drives, that's when we're going to need those. When we're rebuilding society, that's when those tapes are going to come in handy. So you may not be complaining now, but when you're sitting there and you're one of like 5 people that are left over to rebuild the whole damn thing, you're going to be like, damn it, I wish we had those masters. So now how am I going to get to listen to At Last? Especially once you finally defeat all the zombies. I mean, At Last. That's the song to play, is it not?